And we're live. Welcome to AdamMcKola TV. I am Adam. He is Joe Smith from Stretford Paddock, and we are live for the Manchester United Rumour Rater. What is going on, my buddy, my pal,
How you doing, mate?
my mean mate? What's going on?
Nothing, not a lot. I mean, I'm sat here making videos, chilling out, drinking glasses of milk. What else can we do?
Drinking glasses of what kind of milk is it? Like cow from the teat to the cow, or is it from the teat to the oat?
It's not straight from the teat, but it has been through a teat at one point. It was cow's milk, yeah.
Okay.
Although I don't mind an oat milk.
See, I've been converted to an oat milk drinker now.
Have you?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. It happened a while ago. I thought, this makes my coffee taste better.
It does. Yeah, I do prefer the taste of oat milk in coffee to normal milk.
And then I realised that it made my stomach feel better. And then I realised that if I drank normal milk, I felt sick after that.
So lactose intolerant, aren't you?
I made myself intolerant, which is a proper, what would you call it, 21st century problem. Is it the 21st century? What century?
We're in the 21st century, but that might be a problem for even a future century, as far as I'm aware. 22nd century problem.
You know that Snatch bit in Snatch where he's talking about cows ain't domesticated enough yet? Why are you drinking milk? No,
I haven't seen that in years. Right, yeah, I've only seen that once.
It is Snatch, sorry.
Either way, don't remember it, but I do like the film Snatch.
Well, yeah, you should.
What I know about it, I've seen them both, but I just can't think of every quote.
You should watch them both again.
I'll watch them tonight
because they are the greatest films. Anyway, apart from all that, we're here to talk about some transfer rumours, some good old transfer rumours, as we do every Tuesday from now on AdamMcKola TV. And we've got a few to talk about today. So let me bring my old banners up. We'll be getting everyone involved on the channel as well. So make sure you're subscribing, liking, commenting, sharing, getting your super chats in, all that stuff, and we'll get them up on the screen because we have the ability to do that today. So the first rumour we're going to discuss is Jesse Lingard to Arsenal. Now that is one that popped up this week, and I thought this is an interesting one. Yeah. What's going on here? Lingard does well at the Emirates, so it might be a good move for him. But what were your initial reactions to the rumour, or is this the first you've heard of it?
No, I've heard of it. I did a little bit on it on the news the other day on Stretford Paddock, where I was kind of trying to find the original kind of creation of this rumour, the source, the original source, patient zero, rumour zero for this one. And I couldn't quite find it. It was a lot of people reporting each other. See, the one I saw, the Express, were talking about the Mirror, and then in the Mirror they were saying like reports. It was all a bit Chinese whispers. So, but I think it's one of those transfers that kind of makes sense, isn't it? Rather than even if it's not official, even if there's been no contact made, it's believable because he's kind of, like you said, he's done enough to Arsenal over the years for us to think that he would improve them. Do you know what I mean? He's battered them enough times. So I reckon it sounds maybe more plausible than it is likely. If you know what I mean? It's sort of a sensible transfer rather than one that's going to happen. What do you reckon?
See, I actually think Jesse Lingard will have a lot of suitors, not just in the Premier League. Like, there's been links to Arsenal. Everton have been linked with him as well. Yeah. That's Arteta and Ancelotti who are looking at him thinking he's a good player. If that's the case, of course, and they're not just rumours. And then you hear talks that he doesn't really want to go. He'll knock them back. But the thing is, if Oli replaces a few players in the squad with more signings, just say we got Sancho and Grealish, then does Jesse Lingard start to think, actually, it's best for me to leave? And then would Arsenal look more appealing to him? Because I actually think he could fit in with the style of play that Arsenal want to play, weirdly enough. Yeah,
I think he suits that style of play quite well. That Arteta's a bit more keen on the press, a bit more keen on work rate than I think Emery was before. And I reckon that's one of Jesse's biggest strengths. Probably his biggest strength is his work rate, his engine, his willingness to sort of do that bit extra, physically. And I think he could work in a way that Ozil probably won't work long term in that system. Like I said, it kind of makes sense. It's like a sensible transfer. And I think the one thing that might keep him at United, well, a couple of things. I think is it, coming through the academy. I know people think, oh, why does that matter? But it does matter. It does matter because it gives the fans, you get an extra season of bad form before the fans turn on you.
With Jesse, it's a bit different, I suppose.
Well, maybe with Jesse, it's a bit different. But I think maybe Jesse's kind of unique, in a unique position. But I think a lot of fans let's have a look at like him and Pereira together. Yeah. Both of them kind of failed to impress this season, but I think most people would sooner see Pereira leave than Jesse leave. I honestly think it's 50-50. I'm not necessarily the Arsenal move in particular, but him going or staying, I really do think it's 50-50. Like I said, getting Grealish in, that might be, just tipping it the other way, but it's hard to know, isn't it? We're still quite thin.
I would have thought some Italian clubs would have come in for him as well, but then with all this situation with the virus pandemic and all that stuff going on and them losing money, they're probably going to be less inclined to spend money. There are reports he's going to knock it back. He's going to stay at Manchester United or wants to stay and fight for a spot. I do think that will become more difficult for him. But then, like you say, I agree in the sense that Andreas Pereira is probably the most likely of the two if one of those was to leave. But even all the sounds from him are that he wants to stay and fight for a place at Manchester United. Let's have a look at some of these comments. This is what James Powley, who's one of the members on AdamMcKola TV, saying, I think Jesse would be a good player to keep in a squad over Andreas at least. And that's kind of what you were saying, that he has that kind of regard over Andreas. He has that probably those performances in the bank as well, because he's won us an FA Cup. He was probably a crucial player for Jose Mourinho as well.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he that's the thing. The difference between him and Pereira. I know Pereira's 2 or 3 years younger, which is kind of in his favour in terms of growing into a better player. But we have actually seen it from Jesse in the past that he can have games where he's excellent. And obviously we've not seen that for a while now. But we know that it's there. We know that he's got the sort of the characteristics and the kind of makeup of a player that can win games and can win big games like he did in the FA Cup. And that's got to count in his favour in terms of him staying, surely, yeah.
Two Tiers doesn't share our sentiments in the game. He's got to go. A lot of people think he's got to go. And coming to that point, how would you rate this rumour out of 10 for likelihood? So the 10 is that it's going to happen, 0 or 1. We'll say 1 is that it's not going to happen. And guys, in the comments, get your comments in as well for Lingard to Arsenal or Lingard to Everton. How likely do you think it will leave?
If it's Lingard to leave, I'm going 5 out of 10. Like I said, 50-50 toss of a coin. If it's Lingard to Arsenal or to Everton, if we're specifying, then I'm going to go 4 out of 10. I really just think he could go, he could stay. The Raiola thing's another thing that makes you think, well, maybe he's looking to leave. But again, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he stayed. What do you reckon?
Vishal says Smalling to Arsenal looks more likely. Mulwada says a 0, as does Vishal as well, says 0 to Arsenal. I don't actually think it's as unlikely as a 0. I don't think it's as like I think with Jesse as well, I kind of agree that it's probably 50-50 that he leaves. I think it's a massive possibility he leaves, but to Arsenal, probably not. But I think I'd say 2-3 out of 10, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some interest there.
It wouldn't be stunning to see him in an Arsenal shirt. I'd be like, oh, but we've seen Welbeck go there, we've seen Silvestre go there, we've seen us swap Mkhitaryan for Sanchez. It's not like Liverpool or City where this, we're probably not going to. It's not the same kind of rivalry. It's not. We've done deals with them in the past. Van Persie, obviously, like this wouldn't be crazy to see a United player in an Arsenal shirt. We've seen it enough times.
It'd be interesting to see how their fans would react to signing him. I think they'd all start getting around him and saying how good he is again.
Yeah,
doing his dances and all that shit.
Yeah, they would.
They'd be sucking up to him on Arsenal fan TV. Be quite interesting.
It would be good.
I would like Jesse to become a valuable member of the squad again. I really would. And Gareth's kind of saying the same in the Facebook comments, because we're live on Facebook as well. You can like the page at facebook.com/AdamMcKola. Jesse is staying. He's a great squad player now. Great, I think, is a bit of a stretch. But I do think he's a very valuable squad member. And especially when you look at how good he was under Jose Mourinho. So I wouldn't be totally against him staying. But I do want to see an improvement in Manchester United squad going forward, where he's maybe not as relied upon or as important. And I suppose if he wasn't as relied upon or as important, he probably looks a little bit better as well.
Yeah, he won't be getting the stick that he's getting.
Someone that's getting a lot of stick, segue, Alexis Sanchez. Now, the talk is he doesn't want to take a pay cut. He's been linked with a move to West Ham United. They seemingly take a lot of washed up players, would you say? Washed up players in the hope that they
last chance you in it, might as well be.
What do you make of this?
West Ham, surely no chance. I mean, I don't think they've got 400 or 350 grand a week to give him, or whatever he's on.
Surely he can't be expecting a club to be paying him that much.
No, I think if he leaves at all, he's going to have to take a massive price cut, a massive pay cut, and I think that limits his chances of leaving. I don't think that him leaving is a zero by any means. I think we've seen it. I mean, he left this season. I know he went on loan, but it's not like he's someone who can't be persuaded to play for another club. He's been playing for another club for a year, so the chances of him going and doing that permanently certainly aren't, anything other than quite likely. I think if we can find somewhere for him to go, but West Ham, to me, I think they can't afford that. I think, to be fair to him, that's probably about his level at the moment. If he's going to sort of learn to play football again, because he's almost not a footballer anymore. He's that bad, which is horrible to say, but like, you wouldn't imagine that he's anywhere certain to go to West Ham and be one of their better players. He just looks like he couldn't be the best player for any team.
He's almost typical of West Ham, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. He goes there. He's had a great history. He's been a great player. Turns up there, wheels are falling off. Doesn't do anything. Gets the fans on the manager's back. Manager gets sacked. He leaves when they get relegated.
People running on the pitch.
Yeah, exactly.
So tickets at Sanchez.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I could see West Ham trying to stump some money up for him. I think he has to be realistic in that if he does leave, he's not going to be getting the wages he was. But then United might be in a position where we have to pay some of his wages to get rid of him. I certainly don't think he should be coming back to Manchester United to play for us. I think he'll be coming back. I don't think Inter Milan will exercise any kind of preference or clauses on signing him. So I think he will be heading back. It's just where he goes and whether United are paying his wages or not, whether it's a loan move, whether it's a permanent. There's been links to South America where there was talk that United would put a £17 million release clause on him, but I can't see any club being able to spend in South America, particularly spend £17 million and then give him the wages that he's going to want.
Well, they're talking about one of the reasons Marcus Rojo was struggled to get rid of him is his wages. And I think he's on about 170, 200 maybe at most, or maybe 150 in that region. Like, that's half of what Sanchez is on. And obviously I know he'd be maybe a key signing for a South American side, but there's not the money in South American football that there is in European football. And we, he ruined United's pay structure, let alone, a Chilean or a Brazilian or an Argentinian team. America's got a better chance maybe, but even then I don't quite think he's the global. I suppose in America he's a bit more of a star maybe because of being South American. But
Chile as well. I think a few. Did he win the Copa Libertadores? Not the Libertadores. The South American trophy.
Yeah, I think he did, didn't they? I think Chile won it a couple of years ago.
Yeah, they won it back to back, didn't they?
Yeah, something like that. I think he won it. So he's probably he's a big star. He's gonna get a move somewhere. There'll be plenty of teams that want him. It's just whether they can afford him. I don't put West Ham in that category, to be honest.
Glenn's mentioning how Ollie said he's Copa America. That's the one.
Yes.
In the comments. Glenn's mentioning how Ollie said he's going to be back in the summer. Do you think Ollie is just paying lip service, and we obviously have to expect him back because it's a loan move, and we're going to be shipping him out? Or is there actually a possibility that he turns it around at Manchester United?
I mean, what are the chances that there's a player who United are presumably trying to sell, and the manager comes out and says, he's shit, he's gone. And you know what? Not only is he shit, not only are we going to try and sell him, if no one wants to buy him, we'll buy his contract out so he's just not a footballer anymore. He's not going to say that, is he? He's going to, he's coming back, he's part of the plans, we're going to bring him back in pre-season, see how things go. That's what you're going to say. Even if you're trying to get rid of him, there's no way he's going to come out and, just destroy any chance of getting an extra 2 or 3 million quid from him.
Someone mentioned going to shop. What the hell is that, Joe?
Do you know something? Twice today, Alexa has got involved in my videos, and I've just said her name, and she's going to be fuming at that because she's right on my back all the time. Hey, I've warned you before.
Fuming about.
She's fuming. Honestly, as soon as I close this video, she's going to be like, what the hell was that? What the hell was that showing off in front of your friends? I'm sorry, all right? I'll say it now.
I think she just has to stop interrupting when the men are speaking, to be honest.
I'm not lucky I've got my headphones in because she'd have a go at you for that. No, I'm not talking about you anymore.
There would have been talk about him going to China, Shanghai, potentially in a swap with Igalo or something like that. But they've got some salary cap coming in, right?
Which no one appears to know how that works, because surely they can't offer Igalo 400 grand a week if they've got these salary caps coming in. I don't know. The
rumours are it's not Alexa, Joe.
Oh no, those ones that can speak are way too expensive.
Sounds like he's had a disappointing look on Amazon with that.
Yeah.
This is what we're talking about really now. I don't know on the ins and outs of exactly what Two Tiers is saying here, but Sancho's wages can fund Grealish, Tomori, and Sancho. Sancho's wage. Yeah, when you look at that, you've got to think like it doesn't make any sense to bring this guy back into the fray, does it? Like we have to get rid of him. There's no way we can bring him back in and not expect it to cause issues with everybody else.
Yeah, he's not. We didn't want him last season. He went away for a year, got a year older, didn't play very much for Inter Milan, has continued to get injured consistently, didn't look very good, comes back, all of those things have happened. The chances of us wanting to keep him are smaller than before, not higher, they're not bigger. So, yeah, I think we have to and we will do everything we can to sort of get rid of him.
If he stayed, would it be bad for the morale of the team? Is his time officially done at United?
I think it could be bad for the morale of the team. It doesn't seem like he's one of those players that's like, hey, Alexis is back, come and sit with us at lunchtime. He's one of them who sort of, he sits by himself, ties his boots by himself, eats his dinner by himself, type of guy. I don't think he's great for morale, even at the best of times. Not that there's anything wrong with that necessarily, but he's not like, you hear rumours of, like Paul Pogba and Jesse Lingard, that kind of player. They're important to the squad. They're important to the team. And he's not any of that. And I think the money that he's on, people like Marcus, people like Anthony Martial, people, I guess Bruno's not been there long enough yet, I guess. But, people like Harry Maguire even, who are thinking, hang on a sec, why is he on 3 times what I'm on? I'm the captain of this club. Or why is he on this? Why is it? There's a implied hierarchy that gets put in place when people earn more money than other people. And even if it's not explicit, like I said, it's this implied thing of he's on 3 times more than me and I play every week and he's shit.
Players will know these things. They're not,
exactly.
Players have agents for that reason alone to kind of, for the bad things that we hear about agents, they are ultimately there to kind of maintain and respect the value of their client, aren't they?
Yeah.
Because it could be difficult for a footballer to go into a boardroom or into his manager or into director. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it'd be difficult for them to say, I need a pay rise now, acknowledge my worth. Whereas an agent will know the market.
Exactly.
They will know what's going on. And if a player like Sanchez is earning ridiculous wages, there's no surprise Herrera was demanding 300 grand a week when he was in his contract talks. Right, let's get to the rumour rating. Alexis Sanchez to West Ham. Out of 10, we'll do a separate Alexis one in terms of to West Ham out of 10.
2.
I say 0. I don't think they got the piece.
Yeah. No,
say 1 out of 10.
Yeah. Never say 0 and 10 is too concrete. But yeah, it's as close to not happening as not happening, I would say.
Yeah. I just can't see them justifying any of his wages. I can't see United also paying part of his wages for him to stay in the Premier League. So if we were to enter that kind of deal, it would be for the player to leave the club, leave the league.
Yeah, I agree.
Right, then moving on. Jadon Sancho. Now, the recent rumours, you've covered these on Stretford Paddock, so you can fill us in, are obviously that in relation to Honigstein's reports, So do you want to give us your thoughts on Ralph Honigstein? Give us his comments first and then give us your thoughts on it.
Basically, he was on a podcast yesterday talking about, for those who don't know him, he's just one of those kind of sports media personalities, bit journalist, bit presenter, we've sort of we've seen a lot of that type of character come around in the last few years. He's one of many of this like sports media type of personality, but relatively highly rated. Sort of tier 2 on Reddit in terms of reliability. I'm assuming most of you fans know what that means. So yeah, he's someone worth listening to, and he came out and said that whilst United can't necessarily offer Sancho titles, Premier League titles, I assume he means, he's still interested in the project of growing with this team and being a big part, a key part, maybe the key part of the current side, and that very much excites him. Apparently, that appeals to Sancho. So again, it's sort of, there's all these like peripheral boxes that are being ticked. Like he likes Manchester. He wants to be the main man of the team. He wants the number 7 shirt. He's friends with Marcus Rashford. All these things that seem to be falling into place a little bit for this one.
Yeah, it does feel that way, doesn't it? There seems to be an inevitability about it. And you had almost like Chelsea seemingly were linked with him, and now it looks like they're being linked with other players that could potentially be alternatives to Jadon Sancho. Now, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
No, of course.
But it feels like this one's got some legs in it. It feels like, I think the interest is 100%.
Certain.
I think the interest is certain. I think the contact is certain.
Yeah.
I think he would be interested as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's still potential spanners in the works, aren't there?
Definitely. Well, I mean, if you just think of who might be after him, if let's say it's Barcelona, Real Madrid, maybe even put Chelsea back in there just for the sake of argument, and Liverpool, all of those teams except Chelsea are more likely to win their domestic league than United are. So all of a sudden, as much as he might like Manchester United, he might like the money, he might like all these sorts of things. That is one thing that we can't offer, is the same percentage chance of winning big trophies at the moment. So that immediately, it doesn't matter whether he likes United, it doesn't matter whether United like him.
Do you think Sancho coming in could help push us towards that level, at least with our...
Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've seen the effect that Bruno Fernandes has had. I know it's only been a few weeks, but you don't need to just be Bruno. We've seen countless number of times down the years with United and with other clubs how that final piece, as people have been talking about with Liverpool and Van Dijk and Alisson, and there's all sorts of examples of that where one or two final pieces take something from here. It took 7 or 8 pieces to get here, and then it takes 2 more pieces to get here. And I don't know if we're quite here yet, but I think we are a couple of pieces away from that final piece, if you know what I mean. And I think he could certainly be part of that. We've seen that again, like I said, with Bruno. I think Maguire was slowly starting to see that. Him and Wan-Bissaka have both been great signings. I think first 11 wise, if you get Sancho in and you keep Pogba or replace him, like for like, assuming we don't lose him and not replace him, that first 11 is inching towards being as good as anyone's. I don't think it's quite there yet, and it needs some work and some time to gel together. But all of a sudden, you go from having a midfield of a Matic that looks like he's not a footballer anymore, Pereira and Lingard, to having one of your choice of Fred, a rejuvenated Matic, Scott McTominay, one of those 3, Bruno Fernandes and Paul Pogba. That stuff like that. That's 2 months ago that we've seen that change. So I just think it's never as far away as you think, and I think Sancho would be a massive step in the right direction.
Is it worth the reported £100 million?
Yeah. João Felix went for €120 million, and he'd done essentially nothing in the Portuguese league.
Especially compared to Sancho.
Yeah, exactly. Sancho is the highest scoring teenager in Bundesliga history. No one has scored more before their 20th birthday in that league in history. He's not even a striker. He gets as many assists as he gets goals. He's the best teenager in the world. I know he's just turned 20 like a month ago, but this season and last season he's been the best teenager in the world. And in terms of safe bets, spending 120 million quid or 100 million quid on a 20-year-old is always going to be a risk. But if you look at sort of the CV of the people that have gone for these crazy money, Coutinho hadn't done what Sancho's done. Dembele hadn't done what Sancho had done. João Felix hadn't done what Sancho has done. Even Mbappe hadn't done what Sancho's done. So I think if you're going to spend 110 million quid on anyone, it's going to be someone like Jadon Sancho.
And will United be spending that? What's your rating out of 10 for Jadon Sancho?
I've gone 8.5 out of 10 on this. I think there's always the chance that anything can fall through at any time. I think, like I said, I think we're definitely interested. He's definitely interested. We're willing to pay the money. Dortmund are willing to sell. I think the only things that are in the way are potential worries about managerial security at United, potential worries about us winning trophies, and other clubs coming in that are sort of can go over our heads in terms of offering those things. But other than that, I think there's a good chance it'll happen. What do you reckon?
Gareth's gone 8. Prabhav's gone for a 9. I'm the same. I'm a 9 out of 10. I think it is very likely to happen. There's still a chance it could be scuppered. We've seen many deals be very close to happening and possible. And as always, United could even think, actually, we want to spend a little bit less on someone else and get someone else to bolster the team, or our plans might be based on Pogba going. Pogba doesn't leave. Like, we don't really know financially what the club are considering spending in the summer. On average, it's been around 150 to 200 million pounds in the last couple of years, and Sancho would be most of that. So there's still a chance it could get scuppered, but I'm going with Prabhav 9 out of 10. Does
that take into account though the 65 million we spent on Bruno in the winter? Because we haven't spent much in winter transfers recently.
7.5, wasn't it?
Yeah, potentially going up to 65. Yeah. But I said 50 or so. Yeah, maybe that takes some off the summer. Who knows? Maybe that was last summer's.
Yeah, because we should have brought, like, if you think about last summer, we sold Lukaku for pretty much what Maguire was worth. Yeah. Pretty much, like, not exactly, but around the same. And then we bought Wan-Bissaka and Daniel James for like 65 million. And I think that would have been balanced out by the other small, not all of it, but we probably would have spent about 50 million. In reality, last summer, 50 mil. Yeah. So spending Bruno was kind of from last summer's budget. The only difference, I think, would have been, has Bruno done enough? And then they saw him for that 6 months and were like, wow, we kind of need to sign him now. We need players and we need to sign him because he's just so good. And I think the same was with Sancho. They probably would have wanted to spend the big money last summer, but thought, let's not bite the bullet just yet. Let's see what. Yeah. And now he's already beaten his tally from last season in like 25 games.
Which is ridiculous, by the way.
Assists, it's a joke. Yeah. So, yeah, man, I'm a fan of his. I think he'll come to United, and I think it's a good bit of business.
Yeah, me too.
10 out of 10. Well, 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10.
Close, though.
Jack's liking what you lot are doing over on Paddock.
Thank you very much, mate. Thank you, Jack. Very much appreciated.
Yeah, man. Make sure you subscribe into Stretford Paddock to get more of Joe, and subscribe to AdamMcKola TV as well. We're like a handful away from 69k giggity.
Laugh.
Giggity goo.
You're going to do a 69 special?
Should we do a 69 for 69?
Yeah, where you're that way up, but I'm this way up, like hanging down from the ceiling. Like a bat.
That sounds like good fun. We'll do that when we hit 69 subscribers. So if you want to see Joe upside down,
somehow
subscribing. Right, Paul Pogba to Real Madrid. This one popped back up in Spanish. Like it's been a lot of talk's been about Juventus and Juventus trying to stump the funds up. Italian press have kind of said Juventus ain't happening for him. It's just not happening with what's going on at the moment. It's just not happening unless they sell loads of players, and then they were like they could sell these 3 players. But it was a very negative article towards the possible signing of Paul Pogba. And then the Real Madrid one came back up in, was it AS? They had a big front back page cover with Paul Pogba saying he'll be angry if United don't accept his transfer and all this, that, and the other. There was nothing new in the story. There were no brother. There was nothing from Raiola, which they're never too shy in coming forward with anything.
No.
So we didn't hear anything else. But Pogba to Real Madrid was yet again spoken about. Do you think this one's dead in the water? Is going to stay at United, or is it still a possibility?
It's definitely a possibility. It's one of those transfers where, again, as I was sort of looking at the steps that are necessary for a transfer to take place, I think he is willing to move to Real Madrid. I think he's also willing to move to Juventus. I think both of those clubs would like to have Paul Pogba playing on the pitch for them. The problem is, I don't think Juventus have got the money, and I don't know if Real Madrid have got the sort of. I think they've got the money there available if they want it, but I don't know if he is the priority for them at the moment. I think it definitely could happen. We saw, not in those recent articles like you were saying, but Raiola was a couple of months ago, 6 weeks or so, talking about how he wants to take a world-class player to Real Madrid. And, he hasn't got that many world-class players on his books, no offence. So I think the interest is definitely there, but it's looking less and less likely, isn't it? Somehow, all these reports in England about he might even sign a new contract. He's willing to stay. All this sort of stuff.
Do you remember we were together in the summer, last summer, when he had kind of said that he was interested in possibly leaving and getting a new career or something. Remember, new
challenge, all that.
New challenge, that's the one. And we kind of I said he's not leaving this summer. And we were all kind of uncertain, but I was like, he's not leaving this summer, he's leaving next summer. He'll go next summer. And then I've kind of felt the same leading up to this. And now I kind of feel like, well, actually, it doesn't look possible for him to leave. It doesn't look like the cards are falling into place for him to leave. And while, like you said, I agree. I don't think he would mind moving to Real Madrid for various reasons around that. Obviously, Real Madrid's a big attraction for anyone. And Zidane being there is another thing. I don't think he would mind going back to Juventus. I think a big percentage of United fans love Paul Pogba, but I think he's not felt the love from probably the club as a whole since he's been here, and he probably has felt the love there at Juventus, and he probably pines for that a little bit. But I also think, whilst he wouldn't mind going there, I actually think there's a part of him that wouldn't mind staying at Manchester United, because I don't think there's this aggression to get out of the club from him. I think I want to leave. It's probably better for me to leave to win trophies, but if it doesn't happen, I can see him signing a deal this season and probably being happy to do so. I think it's going to be very difficult for them to get rid. For Real and Juve to stump up the money we'll want for him.
Yeah, I definitely think he loves Man United, and I know people think he takes the piss, and so many mountains have been made out of molehills around Paul Pogba I haven't seen it since Wayne Rooney was at the club, to be honest. Just in terms of how everything he does is, what is the problem with what he just did? It's not like, oh, he's done something wrong, let's have a go. It's he's done something, find what's wrong with it. And like I said, I've not seen that with any at United. Even Lingard's had a lot of stick, but I think Rooney was the last time I really saw it where it felt like all he's done is just driven this car to the shop. She's like, yeah, but why has he got those alloy wheels? You're like, who cares? So I do think that most of the negativity comes from other people putting it on him. I also do think he wouldn't mind moving, like I said. But I think he does like Man United. He grew up. I know he came here as a younger man, but he spent a lot of time here. He grew into a footballer here, and I think I don't think he's desperate, like you said. I think something has clearly come out recently. This whole thing of, he might stay. He might sign a new deal. I think that is a calculated PR move from him. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, because if he is going to stay, which he might do, you don't want everyone to hate you. Good. But I wouldn't be surprised if he stayed.
I heard last summer as well, I spoke to someone that was quite close to it and knew that like Pogba had been offered a contract, and it was like the best contract United had ever offered anyone, and he just rejected it. And I kind of felt like that's kind of a good thing, because he's not leaving us under any false pretense. You know what I mean? I'm not signing this deal and then in a year wanting to leave. But I think then it kind of just signaled that if he's not going to accept that deal, then surely he must be off. But who knows? Things can change very, very quickly.
And Real Madrid spent about 350 to 400 million euros on transfers last season. I know they've got loads of money, but we've seen people like Barcelona and City get sanctioned for the way they're doing deals. No one is impervious, no matter who's backing and where they're getting the money from, no matter what it is. They can't just spend 300-400 million euros every single summer. And I just think, maybe he's sort of priced himself out of a move by where he is at the moment.
Do you possibly, before we will go into the ratings very soon, so guys, get your ratings in for Pogba to Real Madrid or Pogba to Juventus. But Glenn makes an interesting point, which says Bruno coming in has probably changed things a lot in the Pogba situation. Sancho coming as well. He'll see we're going places. Do you think possibly he's been attracted by the project? Or are we naive to think that if that happened?
It depends how much we think he's attracted, but I think United are the most exciting proposition now than we have been for probably 2.5, 3 years. I think the most exciting we've been since Ferguson left was when Mourinho came in, he got Pogba, he got Lukaku. That felt like summer's happening here. Mourinho always wins stuff. But since basically halfway through that season, where it became pretty evident we weren't going to win it, I know we came second in the league and won the Europa. It was a distant second. There was no title challenge despite being second. I think since that title challenge had ended, which was sort of end of that year, so 2018. I think this current moment now is the most exciting and the most sort of optimistic United fans have been. And surely that rubs off on players. I don't know how much, but you'd think the idea of these sorts of things, these players coming in and who's already coming in and improved the squad, surely that makes it a bit more likely that he'll want to stay.
Maybe. Rating out of 10, Pogba to Real Madrid or Juventus. Let's rate him leaving Manchester.
Him leaving, I would say 6 out of 10.
William's gone for a 5 out of 10. 50-50.
Yeah, I think it's just more than 50-50 because there has been this interest expressed about him wanting to go in the past, his agent, his brother, that kind of thing. That is real. He obviously wants to leave or he's obviously willing to leave. It's just whether they can find the right kind of deal for him, which is the 4 out of 10 doubt that's been put on top of that. What do you reckon?
I'd go with William, 5 out of 10 for Paul Pogba. I was probably about 7, 8 out of 10 a few months ago, but I'm a little bit less sure he's going to leave now. I hope he stays. I hope he stays. Because I genuinely think if he stays, we get Jadon Sancho, maybe tighten the squad a little bit, get a few more players in. We'll be close to being ready. I think we could still be close to being ready if you let Pogba go and you replace him. But I don't think we'd replace him if he did leave, which is then leaving all sorts of different questions. So, I want him to stay. But I think 50%, 5 out of 10, that he'll leave. Joe, it's been an absolute fucking pleasure, mate.
As always, mate, Thanks for having me.
Where can the people find you?
They can find me over on Stretford Paddock on YouTube and at JoeSmith93 on Twitter as well.
Yeah, so make sure you're checking out Joe. Make sure you're subscribing to AdamMcKola TV as well. We want to hit 69K as soon as possible and 75K by the end of May. That's the target. So subscribe to the channel. You can join now as well by clicking that join button over on YouTube. If you watched on Facebook, thank you for watching. On Facebook, remember, we've got live content over on youtube.com/AdamMcKola every single day at 12 o'clock UK time. So join us there for that. Apart from that, thank you for tuning in to me and Joe. If you want more from us, head over to Stretford Paddock right now on YouTube. We did the podcast earlier where you can check out a little bit more on us with Alex as well. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you to Joe. Thank you for you lot for watching. Any final words, Joe?
Check out the old internet.
See you later. Hi there, press.